Here are the Calgary Flames offseason moves so far. They signed Yegor Sharangovich to a 5-year contract extension after a terrific first season with the Flames. And they added a few other depth players as well. It's more about what they subtracted from the roster, though, having dealt Jake Markstrom to the Devils and Andrew Mangiapane to the Capitals. As we bring in our Calgary Bureau Chief, Salim Valji. First of all, great to see you. It's been too long. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Jay. Just had a chance to cover a little bit of the Stanley Cup final. I'm about to buy my condo, so life is very good, but very stressful and about to be a lot less money for me. So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind the past little bit. So,
Well, maybe Craig Conroy could dip into the Calgary Flames payroll and give you a little bit because he's got a lot of cap room. And, you know, the Flames, as you know, Salim, have consistently avoided that word rebuild. But when you look at what not only what they got back for Markstrom and Mangiapane, but for the players they dealt throughout the season last year, at this point, can you finally call it a rebuild?
let's say it for everyone in Canada: rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. It feels so good. I feel like I don't need therapy anymore after saying that. But that is what this is, right? If you look at what they've acquired, they are serviceable NHL players like Kevin Ball, and they signed Jake Bean, who's actually from Calgary. Anthony Mantha, another one. But this isn't a group that is going to be competitive for a playoff spot. And think about this, Jay. Today, as of this evening, the Calgary Flames have more cap space than any other National Hockey League team. More than Chicago, more than San Jose and Anaheim. Those teams that did scorched earth rebuilds are spending more on the salary cap than the Calgary Flames. And this is really interesting, Jay, because for years, even after that disastrous 2022-23 campaign, the then CEO, John Bean, said that we weren't allowed to use the word rebuild. So this is a huge departure from how this organization does business. It's clear that owner Murray Edwards has accepted the idea that they will have a couple of lean seasons to close out the Saddledome before they eventually get more competitive. And you look at the moves that they made, like Nostradamus Valji, odds are Anthony Mantha is going to be on our TSN trade bait list some point very soon, right? Like, it's clear that they're accumulating draft picks. They're a place that players can come to, up their value, and sign a bigger contract next season. And it's a huge departure from how they've done things in the past, where they hoped that they would get in and catch lightning in the ball during the postseason. It's a different time here in Calgary. There's some pain ahead, but long term, it's probably the best route.
And, you know, Salim, we know that our mutual pal Darren Dreger has reported that Nazem Kadri likes it in Calgary, likes living there, likes playing there, but the team has also gotten some calls on the Flames center. Do you think it's just inevitable that Kadri will be moved, maybe even before the next season starts?
Well, I look at a couple of things, Jay. Number one, I think Nazem Kadri really liked being a mentor to these kids. You talk to Connor Zaria and Martin Pospisil and even Matt Coronado. They credit Kadri for a lot of leadership, little things he would say on the bench, or sometimes giving them a kick in the rear end when they needed it. I think Kadri was actually super important to the culture of this group a season ago, and he enjoyed that role. The reality, though, is, Jay, number one, there's a salary cap floor, right? It's not like the Calgary Flames can load up on players making $750 grand and that's their roster. They have a floor that they have to meet, and frankly, Kadri helps them get to that floor, which is in the mid 60 millions, I believe. So he's a big part of the team culture-wise. He helps them get to the salary cap floor. Of course, if he requests a trade, I'm sure they'll be open to it and take back a bad contract. They like his presence in the room. And I think he enjoys being a mentor type figure. But like Mike Johnson said on Trade Center a couple of days ago, Jay, come February, and this is a season and a half where you're not playing meaningful games, maybe Kadri does just politely ask to move to a better situation. But all indications right now, Jay, are that they love him here in Calgary, and he likes being a Calgary Flame, and he helps them get to that salary cap floor, which suddenly the Calgary Flames are hovering around after years of spending right to the salary cap.
So, having said all that, Salim, what do you think Calgary Flames fans can expect next season? Not just on the ice, but is it going to be a situation where we're waiting for that Kadri deal, potentially even maybe deals for other veteran players like a Blake Coleman, for example?
I don't think so, Jay. So Craig Conroy told us on Monday two really interesting phrases. Number one, he used the phrase 3 to 5 year plan, which Flames fans haven't heard a whole lot of since they won the Stanley Cup back in 1989. And the second thing he said, Jay, is growing pains. Now there's going to be a lot of them come next season. Dustin Wolf will be your starting goalie. He'll probably get upwards of 30 starts. He is going to feel it some nights. You know, they're going to ice a very young defense group. Forward wise, Connor Zary and Pospisil, these kids are going to be put in high level situations. And the reality is that they're not going to succeed all the time. So I think there are going to be nights where it'll be sad at the Saddle Dome. In terms of dealing veterans, I don't think they're going to go that route. I think they're very conscious of what Edmonton went through for a long time before they got Draisaitl and McDavid, and that culture of losing and how tanking doesn't necessarily work in today's NHL. And I think those veterans are really valuable in upholding a standard, even if they aren't necessarily going to win a lot of games. So I don't think that the veterans are going to get dealt because they are scared of what happened in Edmonton for a long time before this recent run of success. They do have a salary cap floor to hit, like I said. And the reality is that there are going to be some nights where they are going to end up on the misplays of the night rather than the highlight or the best stuff of that particular night. But again, it's all long term. And I think fans here, Jay, appreciate that for the first time in a long time, there's a clear-cut plan, and it involves infusing young players and letting them grow, maybe sometimes at the expense of wins, but it's about a lot more than that here in Calgary right now as they enter the final stages of the Saddle Dome.